sound of Bow Bells was reaching into the gloomiest recesses of the mean streets where he started life in poverty amid the Great Depression. Today, he can afford to smile too. Even if he is still prone to sound off occasionally against the class system, his resentment against the British film industry that he claims left him out in the cold, and generally cause a predictable public furore as a result. Over the years that I have been following him around the world on film locations, I have watched that smile broaden into a triumphant grin as he relishes the hard-won fruits of success. Charting the rise and rise of Michael Caine has been an illuminating experience. From the nervous, introvert young actor tackling his chance of a lifetime in Zulu, he has crystallized into a star of supreme confidence and authority. If any man deserves his success, evolving from the £2 14 shillings 11 halfpenny he took home in his first pay packet to the millionaire lifestyle he now enjoys, I reckon it is Sir Michael Caine. And an Oscar for Best Actor, the one his millions of fans wanted most of all to see bestowed on him, wouldn't that be the icing on the cake? William Hall, Highgate Village, London, 2007. Prologue. Zululand, sunset, July 1963. He stood alone at one end of the primitive timbered bar, drinking quietly by himself from a half-pint beer tankard. Tall and slim, with fair hair curling around his collar, he seemed remote, reflective, somehow detached from the noise and activity in the rest of the room. He wore the bright red uniform of a lieutenant of the South Wales Borderers, grimy with mud, stained with sweat, but still he looked almost supercilious in it, as if he had stepped off the playing fields of Eton rather than the battlefield of Rorke's Drift, which they had been reenacting all day for the mammoth motion picture Zulu. And he wore glasses with almost aggressively thick steel rims. No one talked to him. Outside, a street of native kraal huts, squatting like round, hairy coconuts in the brown dust, straggled away towards the river. The sun, a single bloodshot eye, was dipping over the purple plain where the shadows were turning twilight into dust, painting the tall, tinder-dry grass dull crimson. In the distance, the snow-capped Drakensberg Mountains rose like an impassable barrier to isolate us from the rest of the world. A stillness settled upon the land. The dusk grew deeper, plunging swiftly towards the African night. Lamps started to flicker and flare along the artificial street of hard board and straw. This homemade village, a realistic facade, was the set constructed for the mighty epic they had been struggling to complete now for 12 weeks against the bitter July winter. The bar itself was no more than a ramshackle hut, rigged up as a temporary saloon for the 80-strong British crew by art director Ernest Archer and his team, with their typical aptitude for producing the miraculous out of the mundane. Some joker had inscribed a crude sign in black paint on the bare door frame: "Ties must be worn." The interior was lit by a solitary naked bulb swinging on a cord from the corrugated iron ceiling. Shadows flickered and danced on the walls like some tribal ritual. When the unit moved back to civilization, that bar would be dismantled and disappear as quickly as it had been built. So would the entire village erected for the cast, technicians and 4,000 Zulus brought in as extras from their bush homes for the costly saga of blood, guts and heroism in the African veldt. A score of small-part actors in dirt-encrusted uniforms stood around talking loudly, downing beer by the bucketful, adrenaline released, banishing the dust and the tension that had clogged their throats all day in the climactic battle scenes that were to become part of cinema history. In one corner, the star and producer Stanley Baker conferred with his director,